For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Hello, everybody. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. And from what I understand, there's several other platforms that are picking up the feed for our podcast. So I appreciate you tuned in wherever you are. Now, we are heading into a very big week for television, and so we've got a super-sized scribble for you today. 1 hour. Normally we're 30 minutes or 29.59, depending on how you download the show. But typically we are a 30-minute podcast every Friday. But here's the deal. We've got so much content and celebrity guests chatter this week that we're going a full hour. This is cool. Okay, now because the new TV season is here, of course, all the TV networks are putting out their celebrities and their talent and their stars to chat with radio folk like me. Well, here's the deal, is that we end up taping so many interviews for the radio show that we don't get the opportunity to air everything. And so the beauty of having the podcast is you can hear it all. So, what's coming up in the next hour? All right, well, Cheryl Burke, you know her from Dancing with the Stars. She won her first 2 seasons that she was on. She's been on for 20-some seasons. She's going to join us to talk about the new season and her dance partner, Juan Pablo. We'll talk about the ballroom dancing competition on DWTS, Dancing with the Stars. And Allison Janney, our friend from CBS's sitcom Mom, will be joining us. Season 6 of Mom is kicking off, and Allison will be joining us to chat about the show because, you know, they talk about some really heavy subjects. You know, there's been death, there's been drugs, substance abuse, gambling addiction, a whole bunch of crazy storylines that they somehow make funny. And so we're going to talk to Allison Janney about that. And, she's been on the radio with me. I've looked, so almost 10 years ago was the first time that she joined me on the radio when she was on Broadway in 9 to 5. So we're going to take a walk down memory lane when Allison joins us momentarily. And if that wasn't enough, there's a new show on Fox called The Cool Kids, and Leslie Jordan is one of the stars of the show. You know him as Beverly Leslie on Will and Grace. But Leslie is one of the stars of this new show on Fox, and it also stars Martin Mull and Vicki Lawrence. Vicki is also a friend to our radio shows. So Leslie Jordan will be joining us as well. Lots to talk about, including my thoughts on the Emmys that were handed out Monday night. You know, there's still some people talking about the surprise proposal that Glenn Weiss had done, and even just the hosts themselves, right? Colin Jost and Michael Che. We're going to get into a break first, but when we come back, my thoughts on this week's Emmys right here on The Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble, and again, thanks for tuning in. In the last segment, before we went for that very quick break, I mentioned the Emmys that were handed out Monday night. Now, again, it is strange for an award show to be on a Monday night, and it didn't do well for the ratings. Let's just say that it was one of the lowest rated Emmys in recent memory, maybe if at all. And I don't know, did Trump tweet about the Emmys? See, I was there covering it and kind of went MIA for a day or so. I needed to recoup. But yeah, the Emmys ratings were not that great, and a lot of people were saying that it could also be because of the hosts, Colin Jost and Michael Che. What did you think about them? If you watched it, send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. It's one thing to read the reviews from TV critics and, all these different hosts of shows and things like that, but really it only matters what the viewers think, and so I want to know what you think. Were they in over their head? That's what the consensus seemed to be. And I think people were lost basically because they were the hosts of the show, but they actually didn't open it, right? You had the SNL cast. I was saying that it was like an SNL reunion. All these current castmates and then former, you'd think that they were auditioning to get back onto the show. So it was very strange that the hosts of the Emmys did not open the show. You'd just think that they would if they're the hosts of the show. And then just the whole thing with like Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen, right? They did that kind of weird correspondence thing like backstage. It was just, yeah, I think that would have worked on SNL, but when it's the Emmys, and again, it's the writing. And now I realize that when the presenters come out and they kind of do their little shtick back and forth, it's sort of meant to be like cheesy funny, not roll on the floor laughing funny, because I always wonder, these people win acting awards, but they're just really terrible when it comes to presenting. And so I wonder if, part of it is to be hokey and sort of lame when they present an award, but I don't know, it's just strange. And then this year they didn't even, the presenters weren't even the ones that were announcing the nominees' names. That was all done by, the announcer, and then they kind of just handed the award. It was very bizarre this year on the Emmys. And again, like I said, for it being a Monday night, you can't really get good ratings on a red carpet show either, because the red carpet was on Pacific on the West Coast. It started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday. Well, I don't know anybody who's going to book a day off work just to watch the red carpet of an award show, so you're kind of missing a lot of your audience there. Started at 6 p.m. Eastern, which again, a lot of people are just kind of getting in from work or getting settled for the evening at home and not tuned into the red carpet. So it'll be interesting to see how they change things up for next year, if at all. And then also the proposal. That seemed to be the highlight. When Glenn Weiss, the director, he was up on stage and then he was talking to his girlfriend at the time, and then he says, I don't want to see you as my girlfriend, I want to see you as my wife. Now, it was really funny because I thought, what if he didn't mean that as a proposal? Maybe he was meaning like in the future. Like maybe that's what he's talking about, and everybody all of a sudden just jumps to the conclusion that he's going to propose to her. And it's kind of like, well, crap, now I have to. Now everybody thinks that I better do this. But he did have the ring there, and it was quite nice when she went up on stage. But again, a lot of people were saying that was not an appropriate place and time to do it. But I think the Emmys were so boring and lame this year that was the perfect time to spice up the show. He's a director, right? He knows when to liven things up and when the right moment is. So I think it was a very smart move for him. And yeah, again, people were just saying that should be something that's private. You don't include all these people. I think that was unique and that was authentic and one of a kind. And now if somebody else does it, it's going to be lame. But certainly he picked the right time to do it. And I also kind of wonder, if he wouldn't have won, would he have still proposed that night? He had the ring with him, so obviously this was a planned thing. I don't know, maybe he was tipped off that he was going to win. But yeah, if he wouldn't have won, I wonder if she would have got the ring or not. And then when would he have done it? Would he have done it at all? Maybe she only got the proposal because he won the award. I don't know, I'm just starting these conspiracy theories. But send me an email, live@jbonair.com. When we come back, Cheryl Burke from Dancing with the Stars will be joining us right here on The Scribble.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. SpeakFreeWithJB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Dancing with the Stars is back on ABC, and that means we need to check in with one of the pros. Cheryl Burke is joining us on the line. Hello there.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for taking the time. I know you're already geared up and ready to go. Probably already like wearing the sequins and everything. Are you that geared up already?
Oh, for sure. Definitely the sequins and the spray tan and makeup, hair, you name it.
It's like Christmas, the most wonderful time of the year, isn't it?
Right. Every day is Christmas here on Dancing with the Stars.
Well, this season, speaking of seasons, you're teamed up with, I'm not going to lie, a little bit jealous of you, Juan Pablo de Pace, right?
Yes. Juan Pablo. He is, he's doing a great job, and I was very happy when, he walked through that door and I saw Juan Pablo.
Okay, so what's the first thing you notice about him when he walks through the door?
Well, first off, I've done the show now for 21 seasons, okay?
Yeah.
So I've had everybody from, politicians to entertainers to athletes, you name it. I mainly, I do get a lot of the athletes. So I thought for sure I was going to probably get another athlete. But it was nice when he walked through the door. I was like, oh, the first thing I noticed was, wow, he's not that tall because I'm only 5'4". And some of these guys I've danced with, the tallest I think was Rick Fox. He was 6'7". So the fact that when Juan walked through the door and he was, not my height, obviously a lot taller, but still like almost when you walk through, when your partner walks through the door, you're like, can I move him? Can I back lead him? And that's a yes.
But how do you not get distracted though? I guess, being partnered with someone who's smoking hot makes the sexy routines easier, I'm sure, but I guess you're just focused on the routine, right? Take me there. What's going through your head?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've danced since I was a little kid. So for me, a routine's a routine. I think it could be, my fiance, Matt, he's also an actor. So he's able to, it's a scene, basically. It's a scene, and then when it's over, it's over. When that music stops, it's over,
Yeah.
And it's something that is part of dancing. Is I wouldn't say acting because I hate putting on an act. It's more like, it's just the intensity of the music and the choreography that brings the chemistry, hopefully, together as a couple.
Do you find that, and you don't have to give names, but do you find that there's one type of person that's better at dance? Or are athletes better just because they're used to, the footwork and things, or how does it go?
Well, everyone is different, obviously. Like, you've got some athletes who are very tall and they can't really do much because with ballroom dancing, you got to move quick on your feet. But what's the common denominator, I would say, with athletes is that they love to be coached and they know how to be coached. A lot of the contestants, may not be used to, let's say, someone barking at them every single minute.
Right.
It's a different sport, and I would say that ballroom dancing is a sport in that sense. So athletes, they get it. They understand that it takes a lot of work. The body's going to hurt. They're used to being sore. And then when you have, like, actors, let's say, like with Juan, he is moving parts of his body that he's never moved before, and he is so sore sometimes that it's hard for him to even, like, get out of bed and come to the dance studio, he said. So it's different. I think with acting, you could put on an act. I think when it's lights, camera, action, it's something that they easily can kind of mold into faking to be a professional ballroom dancer in a way and having that chemistry. But there's a fine line, I think, between athletes and actors. It just depends on, their ability, really.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to need you to stop talking about Juan Pablo. It's getting too warm in here, okay? So do you get a sense, though, of who is or will be a good dancer? Like, can you just see maybe it's in, like, the way that they're walking, or maybe are there some tells? Because you're an expert. You've been doing this, as you say, for, 20-some seasons. Are you able to see, okay, you know what, he's going to be good to dance with, or we're going to have trouble?
Basically, yeah. I can tell when someone, just their body language, the way they're holding themselves up, if they are, in tune with their body, if they're able to use their core from the moment they step foot on a dance floor. Like I only need like about 10, 20 minutes to assess you if this is going to be something that's going to be an easy challenge, it's a challenge in general.
Right. And so I have to ask then, your man, did he have to pass the dance test for you? Like, is that something, because some women, like, I need a person who cooks. I need somebody who whatever. Was that a prerequisite for you in your relationship?
Absolutely not. I'm actually quite the opposite. I love that my fiance, Matt, I would love that he can't really, he can do it. I think he's like one of those closet dancers. I know he has rhythm for sure. We don't like go out dancing. We don't really go out much. We're like homebodies. So the fact that we have other conversations and that he's not part of the world that I'm a part of and vice versa, it's interesting and it keeps things exciting, because if I worked with Matt, I think it would just end up, we would both be complaining about the same things, and it's just, I think it's better this way.
Yeah, well, you'd always be talking shop, and you'd never get out of that.
Always be talking dancing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And cha-cha and samba.
Tell me about choreographing a routine. And I always ask musicians what the process is like writing a song. Do you have the words first? Do you have the music first? So when you're doing a dance routine, do you start with the song? Do you start with maybe the style of music? How does it work?
Well, with each style of dance and with each dance, there is a certain BPM, right? So there's, that the tempo has to be a certain speed and it has to have certain beats in it. So in general, like, we don't get our music, like when we first meet, we have no music basically for the first week. So I just teach them basics, because with every style, whether it's Latin or the standard ballroom style where we do waltz, etc., there's fundamentals and there's a whole technique book and rule book for ballroom dancing. So it's important to kind of establish that foundation before even choreographing anyway, just to be able to know their strengths and weaknesses.
Is there one style?
And then when I actually choreograph and then I get the music, I wait to get I have to wait until I get the music, because there's certain accents, let's say, in a certain song, or there's a cut version, edited version of the song, because we can only dance for, let's say, a minute and a half. So it's important that I wait for the music, but I do have certain steps that I would want to highlight for sure for each partner.
Right. Now, is there one style of dance that is the easiest for a beginner to learn? Because, again, as we've said, you've worked with people of different abilities and occupations. And so I guess when you're teamed up with these celebs who aren't dancers, how do you break them in?
Well, it's important that, we don't really get to pick the dance, okay, or we don't really get to choose exactly the song we want. We're allowed to give song choices, right? But then there's this whole clearance process or whatever. But either way, you sometimes want to dance a slower dance because they can't memorize a routine, or you want to do the fast Latin dances because they have that natural movement and the flow between foot to foot. Sometimes you want to do the standard dances because you're connected to your partner and hopefully you can backlead them, So it just depends on who my partner is, really. Hopefully, the ideal situation would be that, they're great at both styles, both the Latin fast dances and the ballroom dances.
I'm looking at the different teams that are on this season. I'm sure you've sized up the competition. Who do you say is going to be your closest competition, and then who do you think doesn't stand a chance?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm not going to be that harsh.
Oh, darn.
Listen, you never know. If we don't get people's votes, we could be the ones going home first. There's lots of shockers that has happened before. Hopefully that's not the case. But I always think that the football player, he is with Lindsay DeMarcus, he's going to probably make the top 4, if not top 3.
Okay. So now I know you won. It was your first 2 seasons, wasn't it? The first 2 you were on?
Yes, many years ago.
I was going to say. So how do you change that? Like, what sets your duo apart from the rest this season?
Well, this season, I think just for me in general, it's the experience. You can't really beat that, right? Because I kind of know the ins and outs of the show, and how this whole show is not just a dance competition. It's also the journey, and people want to feel like they're involved and that they've helped you accomplish whatever goal you wanted to accomplish. So it's I think that's the one thing that I've been a seasoned pro. I've done 21 seasons, as I said, but I think that it's also important for me to challenge myself. And Juan, he actually has that natural ability of movement, which is great, and that makes it better for me as a teacher because I don't have to teach this guy how to walk. That's important.
And with a name like his, you just know that he just seems like he's going to have moves on the dance. I told you, stop mentioning his name.
Well, I thought it was actually going to be maybe Juan Pablo the Bachelor.
Oh,
right? He's also Juan Pablo. There's a few of them. You famous Juan Pablo.
That's right. All right. Well, okay. So who would be your Juan Pablo of choice then?
Definitely this one.
Okay.
Juan Pablo from Fuller House.
I hear you on that
Actor.
one. All right. Well, Dancing with the Stars is back on ABC. Cheryl, when can we catch the show?
Well, you can catch the show Monday night, and then we're doing another show Tuesday night. Tune in.
We will be watching. Cheryl Burke, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck in the competition.
Thank you so much.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Mom is back on CBS, and, Mom is joining us on the line. Our friend Allison Janney, once again on the phone. Hey, Allison, how's it going?
Hi, Jeremy. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. All right, now, I like to look back at things, and I mentioned this last time. The very first time that you were on the radio with me, it was April 24th, 2009, 9 to 5 on Broadway. We did, isn't that crazy?
Holy cow. Okay, yeah, that is, it seems like forever ago, and yet not at the same time. When I think of that was my first thing I did after West Wing. I decided to do something completely different and do a Broadway musical, which couldn't be more different from West Wing. And so, yeah, it's been a long time now.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, the last time we had talked at the end of one of the Mom seasons that you were back on Broadway, so you really didn't even leave Broadway, right?
I think it seems like every 7 years I get the itch, and
Okay.
I actually was 7. I'm not going to do the math because I'm terrible at math, but every 6 or 7 years I'd go back and then I did 6 Degrees of Separation,
Right.
and then I'll keep going back to Broadway because it's my, Broadway's my roots, so I'll always go back there.
And since then, I mean, you've won every single award known to man. Like, you've grown up. I'm getting a little misty here, Allison.
Oh, you're so sweet. I mean, it's been an overwhelmingly, it's been an amazing journey, and it has rewarded me with a lot of wonderful moments, especially with awards, and it's just it's pretty overwhelming. I never would have thought that my desire to be an actress would lead me here. I think I came so late to the idea that I'd be an actress that I just wanted to do it, and I just thought, God, they're going to let me do it? I kept thinking I was so lucky to be let into the club, and then have all these wonderful things happen. It's been pretty validating and rewarding and exciting for me.
It is. Well, and again, all those honors are well-deserved for sure. Now, as we said, Mom is back on CBS, and Bonnie Plunkett, your character. By the way, I should point out that over the summer, I realized that I have a connection to the character. And on the very first episode, and I totally forgot about this, Bonnie talked about moving to Canada. She was at one of the group meetings, and she talked about moving to Canada. Do you remember where she moved?
Oh, my gosh. That is such a good question. And does it begin with an M?
Yes, it does. It does.
I don't remember. Jeremy stumped me.
It was Manitoba, and that's where I'm from. I'm from Manitoba originally.
Manitoba! Hey, I said M. Didn't I? It was an M, and I knew what I should have trusted my instincts. Manitoba. What did she do there? Is that where she ran I don't know what awful thing she did. I in Canada.
Yes, go with it, Shirana. You're going to... Yes.
A daycare center that fronted as a ecstasy or some sort of drug hub. I don't know what she sold drugs. Something terrible.
Allison Janney for the win, everybody. She got it. There we go. All right.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I pulled that one out, because that was, that's amazing.
I was going to say,
for me.
if you need it, you could phone a friend. Just ask one of the lawn folks out there right now.
Oh my God! Yeah, she's lived a lot of places, done a lot of interesting things. That's what's so fun about playing a character like Bonnie is her past is just ripe with great possible storylines and great. We haven't done a lot of flashbacks, but boy, I hope we get to season 7 and we can do a whole flashback episode. But this year, the Bonnie and the main storyline, I can't say everything, but everyone knows that Bonnie and Bill Fichtner's character Adam are engaged to be married, and most people who have ever tried to plan a wedding know that that's not always a smooth ride. So and it's no less difficult for Bonnie and Adam. So you see them going through the stages of trying to plan a wedding, which sometimes can split people up. I'm not saying anything, but it can be a make or break time for a couple. And then at the end of last season, Christy, her other addiction started to rear its ugly head, and that is her addiction to gambling. So this season, she has to deal with not only her alcoholism, but her gambling addiction, and she's still law school. She's gotten into law school, and so that journey started with her, and hopefully some romance for Christy as well. I think that's coming up. We've already filmed 6 episodes, and I've heard rumor that there are going to be some interesting men coming Christy's way, which is always fun to see on a get to have those storylines. They're always enormously fun. And we also have one of my favorite actresses who's coming into a story arc with us is Kristen Johnston from Third Rock from the Sun and many other things. But she is absolutely full-on hysterical in a way that I've just never seen anyone just commit to her characters. You find out that she and Bonnie used to be together in the foster care system, and there's a wonderful. Wait a minute, did that happen last year?
I don't.
This is where I get a little wonky and go, wait, we already filmed an episode where you flash back to Bonnie's foster care time. I think that was last year. Kristen was guest starred, and now she's coming back. It's fantastic.
Kristen, season 5 as Tammy, yeah.
Yeah, as Tammy. And Tammy is coming back. And
okay.
Tammy is hilarious. Some of my favorite new stuff is with Kristen. It's brilliant. Bill Fichtner is always brilliant and lovely, and we'll get such amazing guest stars who want to come play with us, I think, because they like what we're doing with the show, and I'm so proud that Jeremy, in terms of what we talk about and how we deal with things that aren't traditionally multicam fare, like cancer and death and all that kind of stuff, that we do it with such grace and humor and people, and we've also earned the right over 5 seasons, now starting our 6th. These characters know each other so well, and there's so much room for ribbing each other, and the thing that you earn, as characters, people knowing you year after year, you can get away with a lot more, and the writers are taking full advantage of that. We have such a great team of writers. It's one of my happiest moments of my day is to go to work and create these episodes every week. You've never been to have you been to a taping, Jeremy?
No, I have not. But I would like a guest starring role if you can swing that. Can we? make that happen?
Well, I will swing that. I definitely can swing you an invitation to come to the show and guest starring role. Would you like to be in the AA room? Would you like to be in the Gamblers Anonymous room? Would you like to be, there's a new cool storyline with, I can't say it. I can't tell you that, but there's a part for you there. But I didn't know you wanted to be on the show. Okay, this is news. I'll pass it down through the chain of command.
You know what? I mean, I was joking, but you know what? If you can swing it, I will be there. We can talk off air maybe, but I swear, if you can do it, I will do it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna, and even an extra role, even if you're just in the scene, is that okay?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
And then, but promise me we'll do a selfie after. We'll do a selfie after.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm the best. I have the best selfie arm because I'm so tall. My arms are so long, so I can always get a good angle on.
Okay.
You know.
Good. All right. Good.
Anyway. Yeah.
It's a date. Now, so aside from, the scene that we'll be in together, do you have a favorite moment? Actually, I'll tell you mine before you tell me yours. And to me, I think it was a bit sinful when you were smashing the hell out of wine bottles.
Oh, my gosh. I did love that. Oh, my gosh, I forget about all the wonderful things I got to do. That was incredibly satisfying. And that was with French Stewart.
Yeah.
And I was had a love interest with a love storyline with him for a bit, and then he pisses me off, and I come to, it's basically my fatal attraction moment. Like, I will be ignored. French Stewart, I can't remember his character's name in this moment. Those kinds of moments are always my favorite, because I love to do anything physical. That's when I'm happiest. Sliding down banisters, jumping out windows, smashing bottles, taking a baseball bat and smashing a car window. I remember doing that once on the show, and I'm just that stuff. I eat that out of a spoon. But I also love some of the touching moments, the touching scenes where we really get to just be there and be supportive of each other. Those are satisfying as an actor. You love to be able to, the other physical too. See, I'm looking at the trees and I'm staring at the sky and I'm just going off in a tangent. But I'm oh my God, I'm just trying to think of other moments. That was a really good one, though. The capers that we go on when Alvin, Kevin Pollak's character, dies, and it's all the thing about his ashes, and I steal the ashes from his current wife and replace them with kitty litter from Marjorie's house, and those kinds of storylines are just ridiculously fun, and then you think, how can that be possible? How can anyone? It's not believable, but yeah, with Bonnie and Christy and these characters, it's totally believable. But that would go to such extremes. Help me out. What are some other ones that you like?
Well, when you were going to the spa and you got locked up, when you were singing in the car.
Oh yeah.
We were getting all the songs wrong.
And I get. What am I singing? I'm singing some.
Fievel. What's the oh boy, now I'm blanking too.
Somewhere out.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that.
No.
That was the song it was supposed to be, but I sang a different one.
Right.
Anyway, she screws up her songs and insists it's the love theme to something.
American Tail, right? That's what it was.
Yeah.
American. All right.
Five-ish and American.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fievel. Five-ish. Fievel. Uh-oh. It's catchy, Allison. I've got it now too. Jeez. Okay. You talk about the relationship, and I know your co-star has gone through some situations in her life. I want to ask though, what is the relationship that you have with Anna? Is it coworker? Is it friend? Is it a little bit motherly?
If anything, I mean, it's definitely friend, teammate. She tends to be more the mother to me off stage, behind scenes, than on camera. Well, actually, that relationship on camera is pretty interchangeable as well. I don't think Bonnie's necessarily obviously the mom all the time, but and Anna is she's very motherly off camera to all of us, and she, especially with me, we've all been through, everyone goes through things in life and relationship ups and downs, and she's helped me through mine, and I've helped her through hers. I hope we all are kind of there for each other off camera and on camera, and which is really nice, the friendships that we've formed on the show. And she's also a camp counselor, organize things for us to do. She has rituals that she does before the show, and does this thing where she comes in the makeup room right before we do a speed through of every episode, all the actors who are in it, and she comes in and she says, well, I just talked to Chuck. And we all go, oh my God, what did he say? And she usually says something ridiculous. Like, for some reason, he wants us all to, after you deliver every line, just look right in the camera. I don't know exactly what it is about, but that's what he's asked us to do. And usually the guest stars are, who aren't going to know, are like, are you serious? Or what? It's just fun to see who we can prank. So she's kind of gone that way. And camp counselor, I definitely would call her camp counselor of the year and mother of the year.
I'm going to have to write that down. So when I have my starring role, she's going to be pranking. All right, she's the jokester. I got it. All right, making notes here.
Oh, shoot, guy. She is.
All right. Well, yeah, we're super late right now, but you know what? I could talk to you all day. But so, Mom is back on CBS. When can we catch the show, Allison?
It's on. I think our premiere is September 27th. Is that correct, Jeremy? Please help me. I hope that's right.
Yes, it is.
September 27th?
It's on Thursday.
September 27th, Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, it's 9 p.m. Both wherever you are at 9 p.m., right?
Well, the easiest...
I do, my math goes crazy. But, yeah, Thursdays at 9 p.m. on CBS.
All right, here, I'll do my thing. What we do is it's check your local listings. You search Mom, and you record it, and you watch it live, and you watch it over and over again, right?
Yeah, that's what you do. You just give it to your DVR to take care of. Just put it in there and record Mom. You will not be disappointed. There will always be a show that you'll want to watch, no matter what's going on in our crazy world. It's kind of fun to tune in to see what's going on with these characters, because you want to root for them, and they're all women who are trying to, and men too, are always trying to be better people, and that's just good to watch.
One final question before we get off the phone here. I know obviously Bonnie is sober, but I have to know, what's your drink? It's Saturday night, you're out. What do you order?
Oh, I'm a martini girl. I love a martini, shaken, very cold, very dry with a twist.
Okay.
That's my drink of choice.
All right. We'll be. I'll have some ready for you when we finish taping. Okay.
Copy that.
All right. Well, Allison Janney, Mom is back on CBS Thursday nights. Check your local listings.
Hey.
Always love talking to you, Allison. Thanks so much for calling in today.
It's nice to talk to you. Absolutely, Jeremy. And I will be in touch about your cameo appearance on Mom.
I swear, I'm going to take you up on that. If we make it happen, that would be like bucket list for sure. All right. Allison, thanks so much.
All right, thanks.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. And again, thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I was about to ask if we're halfway through the show yet, but we're, 38 minutes in? Again, it's normally a 30-minute show, so this is it's a little bit longer than what I'm used to. I'm not going to make a comment about that. Anyway, coming up, Leslie Jordan from Fox's show The Cool Kids is on deck. He'll be joining us in just a little bit. I mentioned at the top of the show that the new TV season is here, which is why we're having all these celebrity guests on the show this week. And I wonder if you feel the same way I do, that all of these shows are coming back from the past, right? Murphy Brown is coming back. The Connors now, I guess. Will and Grace came back last season. There's talk about Married with Children. That was a show years ago when I was growing up, a show on Fox. But I now, there's 2 points to this story. One, I don't know that a show like Married with Children can survive in this day and age, just because there's lots of fat jokes, there's lots of woman jokes, so I don't know how they'd go over with today's viewing audience. And secondly, I'm wondering if this says something about people wanting my shows from the past. There's so many channels, there's so many different ways to watch TV nowadays, but yet we're seeing all these shows come back. And so how do you take that? Do you take that as people not really liking what's being produced nowadays on television? Or do you think that maybe it's just too much and it's comfort, and so, you know what, I already know these shows, I already know these characters, and it's not like I've got to learn everything all over again? Because that's the one thing that I hate about a new show, is that I've got to kind of figure out there's always going to be the dumb character, there's always going to be the slut, there's always going to be the know-it-all or the smart-ass, right? Like, when there's a sitcom, it's kind of like cookie cutter, and it's the same thing with the reality shows. You know that there's going to be the blonde Southern girl, you know there's going to be the rough and tough jock, you know there's going to be the stereotypical gay guy, you know there's going to be and it's just maybe too much already. And so when it comes to going back to these shows that you loved maybe when you were growing up, it's a little bit different. And so I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, and I'm going to ask Leslie Jordan about that if we've got time. So again, another break here, and when we come back on the other side of that, Leslie Jordan from Fox's The Cool Kids will be joining us right here on The Scribble.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's premiere week on Fox, and the new show, The Cool Kids, is hilarious. I just watched the first episode, laughed so hard, and I said, you know what, we need one of the stars. And so Leslie Jordan is joining us on the line. Hi, Leslie.
Hi.
How are you?
Well, I'm sitting in my beautifully appointed trailer on the 20th Century Fox lot. And we're on a lunch break from my big new series called The Cool Kids.
Yes, and as I said, funny as hell. And let's just get everybody caught up, because it's a new show, so people might not be familiar with. It's an older group of friends. You guys are all in a retirement community, and you're young at heart, right? The body might be old, but the spirit is young. Is that a good way of putting it?
That's a wonderful way of putting it, because our writers are Charlie Day and the group from over at the Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. So you've got myself, and you've got Vicki Lawrence and David Allen Greer and Martin Mull. And as you said, we're in a retirement community in Tucson, and it harkens back. It's kind of like the Golden Girls, but on crack.
Well, you got to have a bit of a modern twist, right? And I have to say, when I saw the promo shots and Vicki Lawrence giving the finger, I was like, oh yes, we've got something here. And I mean, so just from that alone, I mean, the viewer can imagine the type of character that she is, right? Just from that gesture. So let's talk, though, about your characters then, because you're a bit of a hedonist, I guess is the good way to put it, right, Sid?
Well, I play an aging gay man. Vicky's a woman of a certain age. David Allen Greer is an aging African-American, and Martin Mull is an aging sort of hippie with a lot of conspiracy theories, and it has absolutely nothing to do with that. We're just best friends, and it's on aging and getting older, but we're always in trouble. We kind of have problems with our moral compasses. Mm-hmm. But it's very raucous. It's very edgy. It's fun. Fun.
I've got to ask you then, how much like your character are you? Are you a bit melodramatic at times at all, or no?
Oh, my gosh. What happened was my manager director called and said, there's this thing happening over at Fox, and it's the boys from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and la la la. And I said, well, so I went into audition. It's a whole different ballgame now. We all audition. People think they just call us and offer us things. I read for the part of Sid, who was a 73-year-old Jewish straight man from Brooklyn. So I walked to the audition and I said, I'm going to put a different spin on this. Well, the wonderful part is that they created this amazing playground where the characters getting more and more and more like us as we are in real life. And I noticed right halfway through shooting the pilot that I thought, this is so easy. Why is this easy? I think it's the first part I've ever played in my career where I'm almost 100% me.
Perfect.
It's not easy. And people think that's easy. People think, oh, well, that's easy. But you know what? It's not. And I come from a pretty devout Southern Baptist upbringing. There was a lot of sort of gay shame going up and dealing with that. And so to be able to say, well, you know what? This is me. I'm 63 years old. I'm perfectly comfortable with who I am, what I am, and be able to put that into a character is a pretty amazing thing.
I was going to ask what sort of research you did to play a gay man, but I don't want to. No, just
63 years of research.
You've put in some hard time. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about that first. Whether it was the pilot episode, maybe it was the table read. What was that moment that you thought, okay, we're onto something good here?
They talk a lot, in early days of any television show of finding an ensemble footing. That's very important. You bring in these people, and I had never met Vicky. I had never met I'd met Vicky one time in the Puerto Vallarta airport, Mexico, very briefly. David, I didn't know. Martin and I we did a movie together 100 years ago called Ski Patrol. George Lopez was a teenager in the movie. But anyway, we walked in the room and we sat down and we looked at one another and we began to read, and we just had that ensemble footing. I can't explain it. It was like verbal ping pong. When you're working with comedian, with people with these kind of comedy chops, I just thought to myself, you know what? Because you shoot a pilot and you have to wait.
Right.
And we shot a pilot really early. We shot it like at Thanksgiving of last year, because Charlie Day had to go back and do It's Always Sunny, the 13th season. And so we did, but I knew, I'm telling you, in that first reading, I knew. I thought this series is going to go. And so we waited and we waited and then we got the order, and I thought, wow, and we're already into our. We're further ahead than what's airing. We're in 5th, 6th episodes now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really have found a wonderful sort of ensemble footing.
I guess it also is good, too, because all of you have such long careers in doing television. So it's not like you've got beginners, right? A novice who's never done a sitcom or something before. So you guys, I imagine, kind of just, okay, we know the drill, we know how this works, and then you just kind of get to it.
And also, I didn't realize the wealth of television history till we did I think it's called the Television Critics Association. It's something we did.
Yep.
That was where we did a big panel, and we're such hams, all four of us. It's like the old adage, it's the opposite of talk with us is not listen, it's wait. And so we just love telling stories to one another. We'll have this audience asking questions, and all of a sudden you hear, how Vicki Lawrence got on the Carol Burnett show when she was a senior in high school, and Martin Mull, I had no idea that Norman Lear picked him out. He wasn't even an actor and put him on Soap, and David Alan Grier with all the early In Living Color stories, and I thought, wow, there is a lot of television history. And then, my stories of Will and Grace and, Murphy Brown. And it's a real wealth of television history here. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Well, and it's funny, too, you mentioned Golden Girls, and, Martin Mull played a hippie on Golden Girls. Do you remember that episode?
No, I didn't. He's told us that he's been on every show, though. He amazes me. Every day it's something new.
Yeah,
and every day. And he's so tight-lipped. I said, tell me everything about Roseanne. He said, so he never has a bad thing to say about anybody, which is probably a good way to go in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and last time when Vicky was on our show, when Mama's Family came out on DVD, she, as Mama, was giving me shit, and so I thought, oh, you know what, this is my moment.
This is your big moment.
I've made it now, Leslie. I've made it. That's how I knew.
You had Mama, cuss you out.
Yeah, it's all come full circle. But, on this subject, though, of Murphy Brown and Will and Grace and all these shows that are coming back, right? What do you think that's saying about television? Is that saying something about the quality of television back in the day, or the quality of television nowadays where people say, you know what, I like my classic shows? What's your take?
My take is that I think that there is so much content. I mean, there's so much that people are sometimes not willing to take any kind of risks. And they know, okay, this was a hit. Mm-hmm. They're around. Let's kick it back in and see. Because, when I came to Hollywood, I took a bus from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I had a $1,200 that my mother sewed into my underpants, and I had a suitcase. And back then you had CBS, NBC, and ABC. CBS, NBC, and ABC. And I remember when Fox came around, I thought, oh, my gosh, this will never go. What is this? You can't start a network. And I think Married with Children was happening, and they were building this network. Now there are hundreds.
Yeah.
I mean, of shows and content. So I don't know if that is. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I love it because I was on all those shows back then, and
right.
I'm on my hiatus from Cool Kids. I'm doing another episode of Will and Grace in a couple of weeks. I hope they call me from Murphy Brown. I was on that the pilot season. So as an actor, I'm glad. I'm glad. Fire them back up. Let's keep going.
Well, I was going to say, you're going to have every network covered. You'll have every primetime night.
There you go.
but we do have to wrap this up.
Like Heather Locklear when she had T.J. Hooker and Melrose Place or something. I remember I was so envious back then. I thought, oh, here we are trying to get jobs, and that's this. Heather Locklear has 2 or 3 shows all at once. Well, here I am with 2 or 3 shows all at once.
Oh, why do I have this feeling that you're going to be on a revival of like one of Charlie's Angels? You're going to be there. Well, I see it.
I'll play Charlie.
Yes, of course. We're almost out of time, but one final thing, though, on the subject of people, in the industry. Do you find that people like, Betty White and I guess even just recently Burt Reynolds, they just don't want to retire? They're 80s, 90s. And what is it about show business, do you think, Leslie, that keeps these people working and always doing more?
I think it's just in our makeup. People, I see these actors on talk shows and they're, pontificating on the work and this and that. And I do it because I want to do it. You do it because you're a show-off. You innately want everybody to look at you. And I think it's just something that we do, and it's not anything that you can retire from. I Cloris Leachman, they just keep going. People that are really good at it and made a career out of it. And I'll go till they put me in the ground. I know that. Because what's to retire? What would I do? I don't even know. All I do is, act. I've built a whole wonderful world around it. All my friends act what we do. So I would say, I think that's it. That we just want to do it. Just let us work. We just want to work.
Right. And we're going to watch you and your new BFFs on Fox's The Cool Kids. Leslie, when can we catch the show?
It's September 28th. 8:30 Eastern, in the middle of the country, different time. I don't know how that works.
Right.
But it's on Fox, and it'll follow Last Man Standing.
Right. So it's Fridays, 8:30 Eastern. Check your local listings. That's what we end up saying. It's on Fox.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you.
Good. And I promise you, we get huge laughs when we put it in front of an audience. So you will laugh.
Absolutely. And I almost called you Beverly Leslie, and I promise I won't do that again. All right.
That's fine. Well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Leslie Jordan, thanks so much for joining us.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
That's right, we are on the Twitter. All right, continuing our talk about television today. Again, we've gone almost an hour talking about TV. Julie Chen Moonves signed off from the talk. And again, everybody is still talking about this because, well, we don't have time to recap the whole story, but you know her husband, Les Moonves, is accused of being a perverted, dirty old man, and dating back 20, 30 years. So Julie says, I stand by my man, blah, 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 blah. Well, of course, she's not going to show her face on the talk, and she hasn't been back since the season kicked off last week. But is it possible for her to stand by her man, even though she's raw, girl power, women's rights, women's equality? She's one of those fierce female commentators, so it seems kind of hypocritical when you can... And I'm not saying she shouldn't stand by her husband. Obviously, if that's who you're married to and that's who you love and you got a kid together and whatever, go for it. But what I'm saying is, how can you sit on a panel with these women that castrate men for their wrongdoings? And I'm not saying the men shouldn't be. Everybody should face the punishment if they've done the crime or acted badly like that. So, it made headlines when she signed off as Julie Chen Moonves last week on Big Brother. She did it again this week on the Thursday live show. But here's something I found interesting, because when last week's Thursday show started, she introduced herself as Julie Chen at the beginning of the show. And and this is also when she got the contestant's name wrong. His name is Brett, and she called him Brent at the end when she signed off and dropped that. She had that mic drop moment of, I'm Julie Chen Moonves, mic drop, peace out kind of a thing. So it seems strange to me. She wanted a viral moment. She wanted people talking about her. But then why didn't she introduce herself as Julie Chen Moonves at the top of that show? Is there an identity crisis? Like, why halfway through a 1 hour show you decided to change your name? I don't quite get it. Or at least use a different name. That'd be like me saying, I'm Jeremy Bradley at the top of this Scribble podcast, and then at the end I'm Jeremy Bradley Johnson. Like, how do you do that mid-show? She just, was there paperwork backstage that she signed that all of a sudden now she's got a different name? It struck me as odd. And again, I'm not saying that she should not stick by her man, and I'm not saying that she should have stayed on the talk. I'm not saying anything like that. It seems very odd. And then in the way that she signed off on the talk, and again, I'm not breaking any news here. This happened on, I think it was Tuesday, that a videotaped message, but yet she's going on about how much she loves her co-hosts from the show and the cast and the crew and everything like that. But it's like she's in quarantine, and I compare it to, if you're an older TV viewer, you know the show Three's Company, where Suzanne Summers got banished from the set because, she thought she was a star, and then they said, we'll show you. You're going to hold up production, you're going to make trouble. Well, you're not going to be allowed to see the other cast. You're going to have to shoot your scenes on another stage, behind the stage or whatever it was. And it's like you're in quarantine after that. And so I thought that was really strange. Like, she's got a videotaped message that they end up running right at the end of the show that day, and to hype it up. And I don't know, it just didn't seem very genuine. Oh, you're my great friends, I love you forever, but I can't be in the same room with you. I can't face you in public. It just seemed cowardly to me. I really did. And don't get me wrong, Julie Chen has been on this show. She's been on the radio with me. And I thought that she was pleasant. I didn't have any reason to not like her. But it does strike me as odd, because now it seems like she's kind of doing this, I'm standing up for my man, and I'm going to be... But then you do something so cowardly, and to not actually face your alleged friends that you love so dearly, and the cast and crew. So it's like she's just disappeared, and never showing her face on the set of the talk again. Well, okay. All right. Okay. So it's like she's gone into hiding, but then wants this empowering moment. And, as we hear, she's still going to be hosting the Big Brother show, primetime show, next season, because there was talk about that too. And I know there are a couple people on Twitter who were DMing me when this whole scandal broke, and, is she going to come back to the talk? Is she going to leave Big Brother? Is she just going to go into hiding? And I said, I actually wrote a column about it at speakfreewithjb.com. Check it out, speakfreewithjb.com. That I think it's one of these things where she's going to lay low for about a year. I feel like she's done so much to be a I am woman, hear me roar commentator that I don't think she's going to be able to just fly under the radar and let her husband support her. He's worth, a couple, $70-80 million. So it's very easy for him to just take care of the wife if they, in fact, do stay together. But I think what's going to happen, I almost want to write this down and then come back to the tape later, is I think she's going to lay low for about a year, maybe until the next season of Big Brother. She'll just lay low. And then she's going to do a sit-down interview, whether that's with CBS. I think her and her husband are a Barbara Walters kind of interview. They'll pair up. They'll address it once the dust has settled and everybody's kind of forgotten about them and they need some time in the spotlight again. Maybe she'll write a book and that'll be her coming out again. But I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on this whole Julie Chen thing. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. My thanks to Cheryl Burke. This has been a crazy 1-hour super-sized scribble. My thanks to Cheryl Burke. Dancing with the Stars is back on ABC. Allison Janney, Mom, is back on CBS, and the Cool Kids' Leslie Jordan is on Fox. Check your local listings for all those shows. My name is Jeremy Bradley. I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,